Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Yomesh Gupta. In this video, we are going to solve a front-end interview question from Uber's interview process. This is a question often asked in the machine coding rounds. Many people have reported to us and on the web that this question was asked. Currently, you won't find this question anywhere on any other platform, only on Devtools. It's a fun question. So let me explain what we are going to do here. So initially you would have this box data, basically shape data, box data, whatever you want to call it. It would be a 2D array where each element could either be 1 or 0. And using this data, we have to create the shape, basically empty boxes wherever the value is 1 and wherever the value is 0, then we don't have to render anything, or maybe whatever we are rendering, we should hide it. So now let me go through the functional requirements. Let's say using that 2D array, we have created the shape. I can click on each empty box, and once I click it, then the color background color changes to green. That means it's selected. I cannot deselect it now, and I can select all the empty boxes. Let's say I do that in this order. Now once I select the last box, and then in the order of selection, it should deselect. Let me show you again. If I select these box in these order, then in the order of selection, they should deselect, and once deselection process is happening, then the click shouldn't happen. This happened because the process was over. Let me just show you this quickly again. So now this click is not getting registered. So this is what we have to build in this interview question. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So we have this data, and right now it is empty. We are not seeing anything. So let me create a component called shape.js, and we will in pass the shape here. So let me just import this first. So I'll say shape from, so shape, and I'll just create the component here or invoke it. Basically I'll say data, and I'll pass the box data here. So right now this component is not returning anything, so that's why we are getting an error. So let's open this and let's close this. So we have the shape component. I'm just creating a skeleton for now, just so that we don't see the error on the screen. Shape, and we will just return it, and this will get the data here which we are passing. So basically this data is a 2D array. Now before starting any question or any problem, it's always better to build a mental map, or ask clarifying questions, what we want to do. If something you're not understanding, always ask those questions. Don't directly jump into the code. So from what I understand, we need to create a shape, basically an interactive shape based on the 2D data, okay, or 2D array. uh, Empty box where value equal to 1, and when value is equal to 0, then render nothing or hide whatever there is. Else, or when we click on it, we can select a box and change background color to, so let's say green for now, and deselect in the order of selection. So that means order of insertion or selection matters. So whatever data structure we want to use, be it array or object or something, we need to be mindful that the order of insertion matters. So this is what we primarily want to do, and when deselection process is happening, then we have to disable any interaction. Okay. So right now we have this 2D data which we saw earlier, that it is an array of array, basically something like this, and we have to using this 2D array we have to render. So first thing I want to do here is that I will make this 2D array into a 1D flat array. So what I can do is boxes, I can say data dot flat infinity, and let me just I'll show you these optimizations. So I can say use memo, import it from React, and I'll memorize it right away. I'll pass a callback here that it should be only called if data changes. Or okay, so now let me make it a bit bigger. Okay, so using this flat, the 2D array we have converted into a 1D array, which would be something like 1 1 1 1 0 0 and 1 comma 1 comma 1, something like this. So let's use this data to render our boxes. So I'll call this one, give it a class name of boxes. Right now I'm just doing basic rendering. So we'll break the question, always break the question into, iteratable and achievable parts. So right now I'm just doing rendering. So we'll have boxes and I'll map over it, and we'll have the box and the index here. Inside this, I will just return a div. I'll give it a key. So I can use the array indexes here also, because we are not doing any reshuffling or anything of that sort. So we can use the array index. So I'm going to use the box value along with the index of the array as the key. Plus I'll give it a class name of, let me import this package also, so that we have, go to file, I'll use class names. So I'll just import it. We have the class names now. Let me just close this. I'll import class name so that it will help us handling the CSS better. So this class names package, we will initially, this box, it's an empty. So right now we'll just provide the box as a class. So this is just rendering. Right now it's not showing anything because there is no styling here. So let's open our style.css. Let me close this. We will have boxes, which will be the container, let's say some sort of padding, 50 pixel. Then each box, we will say that each box width is 80 pixel and height is 80 pixel, and we can say border of 1 pixel solid, and we can say black. So right now these are all boxes, but we have to convert it into a grid shape. So for that we can use the CSS grid. So display grid. So this, now we have to have 3 columns. So what we are going to use is grid template columns. Here it's row, we will just come columns. So that means we have to define 3 columns, and each column should be flexible enough that it should have the width of its child. That means the width of individual box. So we have one FR, one fraction, one fraction. That means we are defining 3 columns. Now we will say width fit content. So that will just make it the each column will take the width of the boxes, and we can have a gap of 20 pixels. So now we have the grid here. Now we want that if we have the value as 0, then we don't want to show that box, right? So what we can do here is, inside this we can say what is the status. If box is equal to 1, then it should be visible, else it should be hidden, right? And we can use the status as the class name. And inside our CSS, what we are going to do, we can say that if box dot visible, then cursor is equal to pointer, and we will take out the border thing and we'll put it here. And if the box is hidden, then we can say opacity 0 and cursor as initial. Now if you see, we don't have anything here. We'll just have the boxes, and our shape is created. So based on what is the 2D array, what values are you provided, the shape will change. But in this case, this is the shape we want to work with. So this works fine. Now we have created the basic structure. We have mapped over our, we did the flat version of the boxes, we mapped over it, we created the shape. Now it's time to add some sort of interactivity here, that whenever we click on this box, then the color should change. So now let's see how can we do that. So here we need a click handler to handle this. So we will say handle click. It is going to take an event, and we need to know couple of things here. We need to know what is the index of that box so that we can store it, plus we need to know what is the status of that box. Is it visible, non-visible, and of so sort. So we can either add on click here, so something like on click, handle click here, and this will attach the event handler to all the boxes. But in an interview, you, or in any scenario when you are working with it, we can, just like we are, optimizing flat using the flat here, we can optimize here by uh, taking it out and putting it on the parent. That means what we call as event delegation. That means if this box is clicked, the event is bubbled up to the parent and there is only one event handler, so that will reduce our memory usage. So this event handling, event capturing, and event bubbling, these sort of concepts are also, sometimes it's a follow-up question, that if you add it to individual boxes, they'll ask you that if there is a large shape, then it will have a large memory footprint, so how can we decrease it, and so on. So now inside the our event handler, we need the value. So what we can do here is, we can say we need to have that index. So we can pass the index, plus we can pass the status here, which is going to be either hidden or visible. So inside our event handler, what we are going to do is that we are going to take out the target. That means the element that was interacted with. We can find the index with target dot get attribute, which would be index, or in this case data index. Similarly, we need the status, so we can say status, and this is the status. So now since we have these data attributes, we have these values, but these values could be invalid. Let's say if we index is null or status is hidden. Let's say we because we don't want to interact with hidden boxes, right? So if we have that, we will just return it. So that means these are guardrails or early escape conditions, that if I click on here on this empty space, there is a box, it is taking space. I've just done opacity 0, so the event handler will be there, but I don't want to do any action when an empty space is clicked. That's why I'm handling these conditions here. Now we took care of the condition, so we need some sort of data. So our, initially our requirement was that the order of insertion matters, plus maybe when this box is clicked, we need to know which box was clicked. Maybe we need to do some sort of quick access. So the options we have right now could be something like an array, object, map, or set. Now since we need the order of insertion, objects can handle keys in order they are inserted, but it's not 100% reliable. So we have option for array, map, and set, but we need quick lookup also, so that means we have option of map or set. Now map is a key value pair, we don't need values, we just need the keys. So set is the best option here. So what we can do here is, we can say selected, and we can say set selected use state, and we can pass a new set. So this is throwing an error because we haven't imported use state here. So we have the use state now. So inside this, what we are going to do is, we can say set selected, and we'll have the previous value. We are going to return a new set, and we will add the previous value, previous dot add, and in this case the index. So now this value is added, but nothing is happening because we haven't done any action to reflect it in the UI. So what we can do here is that we can create a new variable called is selected. If selected dot has, that means the current index, the current box that we are rendering is part of the selected set. Then we are going to say we are going to add a class called selected. And if we have that class, so let's say if box dot selected, then we can add some background background color. I think there is a color mentioned in the question. Yeah, this one. So we'll add this color here, and we can say cursor not allowed. So currently if we click on any box, then it's not getting updated. The background color is not changing. Or we don't know if the selected set is getting updated or not. You can pause the video, think about this, that why this is not happening, and mention your reasoning in the comments. Let's see why it's not happening. So what we are doing here is that when we click on handle click, then we are getting the index and status, and we are pushing it into the set. Now the value that we are pushing into the set is a string, but the array index here is a number. So ideally what we are doing here is that if our set is 1 comma 3 comma 4, we are checking our selected, which is this set only. Let's say it's 1 and has 1. So this is coming out to be false because we are checking a string against a number. So to match this, we can do toString, and you see the value was getting pushed. That's why it started working. So if I refresh now and if I select, then all our boxes are getting selected. So this completes the first part of our problem where we were rendering and added some basic interaction, that now if we click on any boxes, then our state is updating and we are reflecting that. Now comes the part that when the box are completely selected, then we have to deselect them one by one. We can do that in a multiple ways. One first is that in this set selected only, in the event handler, we will check that if our set is, the size of our set is equal to the number of visible boxes, then we can start deselecting here only, or we can use an effect. Sometimes I like to use an effect, so let's do that, because this is, in my mind, it's an effect that when something happens, do something else. So idea here is that when our selected dot size is greater than equal to count of visible boxes, or yeah, visible boxes, then we want to deselect, but we don't have this value. So let's compute this here. We'll again use memo, and this will only be updated when our boxes change. So from here, boxer dot reduce, because we want to compute how many elements we have with the value 1. So we can say box here, it will initially it will be 0. So if our box is equal to 1, then okay, we will need the accumulator here, accumulator plus 1, and will return the accumulator, and we'll use this value here. So if selected dot size greater than equal to this, then we will do the unloading part, or deselecting. Before we go to the unloading part, we have to be mindful of one thing, that as of now this effect is getting executed on mount because we haven't passed any dependency array, but we want to call it whenever our selected changes. So we'll update the dependency array here, and then we'll go to the implementation of unloading. So I'll create a method called unload. So in this method, what I want to do is that I want to remove boxes every 500 milliseconds. So each box every 500 milliseconds. So for that we need the insertion order. So we can say keys array from, and in this case from the selected dot keys, we'll have all the keys here. Basically, let's say our selection was in the order 5, then 3, then 2, and so on. Now we have this. we'll create a method called remove next key. So in this method, if I have the keys, that means keys dot length. If that means we have any selected keys, then we'll do something else. We'll do some other processing. We'll come to else part later. So inside this, what I want to do is that I want to find the current key, which is going to be keys dot shift. So that means we'll get the 5 here. Now we want to remove the 5 from the selected set and update the state. So what we want to do is set selected, we'll have the previous value, we'll clone it, updated keys. In this case, we'll have new set from previous, updated keys dot delete current key, and then we will return the updated keys. And once we do that, so basically we are getting 5, we are removing it from the set and we are updating the set. We want to now move on to the 3 value here, and we want to do it every 500 milliseconds. So what we can do is we can call a timer, set timeout, and we will pass remove next key on 500 milliseconds. And to start with, because initially we need to invoke this remove next key, so we can call a timer here also, set timeout, and we'll pass maybe 100 milliseconds. So let's test it out if our logic, okay, we need to invoke this also. So inside this we'll call it, let's see if our logic is correct. Let me refresh this. So I'll select all the boxes and see, as soon as we are done, we are deselecting. Now this works fine, but there might be some issues. Like if I click on this, let's say if I select the final box, then it should start deselecting, but I can reselect the boxes again, which is not the right way. Ideally our deselection is a non-interruptible process that once it started, we should not be able to interact with any box. So for that we can create a new state called unloading, and in this case we can call set unloading. Initially it should be false, and when we start unloading, then we should set it to true. And once we are done unloading, that means we don't have any key, then we should set it to false. So this is the else part. So now if I refresh this and if I run it, see, our deloading, oh sorry, set unloading, my bad. Now if I refresh this and run it again, then I'm not able, oh, we haven't added the check. So here we'll say if unloading, that if unloading is happening, because we added all the checks here, that if index is null, if status is hidden, if we already have the selected value, and now the final check, that if unloading process is happening, then we shouldn't do anything. So we'll come back, let me add this. See, now this nothing is happening, no, now the final unloading happened, that's why it's the state changed. But let me show you again, now nothing is happening. So this take cares of our original problem statement, that we rendered the boxes, added interactivity and everything. We can make it a bit more delightful, that we can go to our styling, and in this case for box we can say transition background color and 0.4 seconds is in and out. So this will just make it a bit more delightful, and the deloading would be a bit smooth. Also, one follow-up question here could be that we are setting the timer or set timeout here, but we are not clearing it. That shouldn't be a problem here, because we are setting just one timer. But just in case, to handle this, what we can do here is that we can create a timer ref. We can say use ref, which is initially null, and inside this, whenever we are setting the timer, we will get the timer ID here also and here also. And if we don't have the keys, then we will just clear the timeout. Now if we just check, we have rendered all the boxes. We have rendered that if it's selected then the state should change and our final selection should show up, and once we have selected then all our boxes are unselected. If we try random order, let's see if it's working fine. See, it's working exactly as expected. So this brings end to our video. I hope you were able to learn something new today. It was an interesting question. We talked about all the edge cases and event delegation effects and a lot of stuff. If you feel that I have missed out on something or if I did something wrong, then please do mention in the comments. If you have a better solution, then please do share in the comments or reach out to me on social media. Also, there are two links on the screen. Topmate, if you want to book a session with me, practice any questions with me. And if you just want to go to the DevTools Tech platform and start practicing, then you can go to devtools.tech/practice. And as always, do like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. Your help towards raising the awareness would mean a lot. So till next time, see you. Take care. Bye bye.